Good day, family. God bless you. It's the time you've been waiting for. Senior Talk with Clara Hubbard, your resource and information show for people getting better with age. Well, I am so excited to have one of our longtime community partners who is really, if you had to say, they are boots on the ground continuously. I am here with the Executive Vice President, Mr. Steve Satek. Let me say this. Everyone, don't get confused. You saw his face before under the name of Great Lakes Clinical Trial. But we're going to talk about a little bit of shift, a little bit of expansion. So we're going to welcome you to this opportunity to learn from this expert. He brings over 30 years of experience, and he has all the knowledge that we can hold. Let me tell you, you're in the right place for what we call our show, the Resource and Information Show, and we're number one. So God bless you all. Everyone stay tuned. We'll be right back after our opening. Tell your friends, Senior Talk is live. We'll be right back in one moment. All right, family. As mentioned, we are live and we are so glad to be back with you. This show is very, very important. For over many years, I've had the pleasure of working with Steve and under the name at the time, which was Great Lakes Clinical Trials. He actually founded that company back in 2013. Woo, Steve, we've been friends. Woo.
We've been doing this for a while.
A long time. But let's welcome our friends who are new to our listening and viewing audience. Steve Satek.
Satek, yep.
Satek, there we go. Has more than over 30 years of experience in clinical research industry. He began his career as a bench researcher at Northwestern University, Robert H. Lurie Cancer Center. He currently is executive vice president at Flourish Chicago sites. He founded Great Lakes, as we mentioned, in 2013, and he has the distinction. In 2018, Steve was honored to be recognized as Crane Chicago Business, one of Chicago's notable LGBTQ executives. You busy, Steve? I tell you, you are very busy.
Get around.
More importantly, Steve holds 2 bachelor's of science degrees in I cannot say this right.
Molecular biology.
I was
really biochemistry.
Biochemistry from University of Wisconsin-Madison and executive MBA from Lake Forest Graduate School of Management. Mm-hmm. He is a loyal board of directors for the Swedish American Museum, board member of the Andersonville Chamber of Commerce, and he is also has been very active with Global Alzheimer's platform that I am very excited to share more about. So we're going to welcome you back, Steve. I would say, what have you been doing? But what have you not been doing is the question.
Well, Claire, I'm just trying to keep up with you and all that you do out there to actually help the community. So, I just try to follow in your footsteps.
Absolutely. Well, it's good to walk together to get it done. I tell you, on behalf of our friends and community. So, Steve, with this 30-plus career, let's kind of go back to the beginning. What would you say have been the major changes in advancement in research? 30 years ago, we were just figuring it out, and we really didn't have the tools that we have now.
We have computers. We have computers now.
Start there, huh?
These things called cell phones, actually. But it's actually a really good question. There have been a lot of advances over the years, and honestly, it's all driven by a lot of technology and that sort of stuff. Really, technology has helped us find better medications out there. And, I think this enough about me, Clara. I think there's times for medications. I think, if you could actually live a healthier lifestyle, get your exercise and diet and everything all in check, that's how you should be addressing your health to begin with. But, at times you need a medication, and that's what we're here for. And we're trying to find medications that not only improve your medical condition, but most importantly, improve your quality of life. We want to make sure that you're taking a medication that's going to have you live a healthier life, a longer life, and that you're going to be able to enjoy your kids and your grandkids a little bit more. That's what we try to do here, is to try to find those medications. But specifically for your question about, we work in Alzheimer's disease and memory loss quite a bit. And there's just been so many advances over the last couple of decades, actually, of technologies for us to be able to diagnose Alzheimer's a little bit better. And, now we can do blood draws as opposed to, doing, spinal taps or doing, like putting people in imaging and that sort of stuff. So we're making things simpler and easier. So.
Absolutely. So, in this research, let's get back moving our virtual green room earlier. I told friends, please don't be alarmed. He's not left the industry. No. He's under another name. So tell us, when did this change of Great Lakes? When was the partnership saying, let's make this a one between the two organizations?
Yeah, so it was right at the end of 2021. So it was right at the kind of the pandemic was still going on, and we were kind of just coming out of it. And we had grown our presence here in Chicago quite a bit as Great Lakes Clinical Trials. You were part of helping us get our name out there and really helping the community. So thank you for all that you did, Clara. But once we got to a certain point, we discovered that we needed a little bit of a facelift, and so we joined a nationwide network of research centers that's called Flourish Research. So even though I'm still at the same location, it's still Great Lakes Clinical Trials and with the same staff and the friendly faces that you're always going to get. We actually have more of a national presence now. So I have colleagues and partners that are all over the United States doing the same thing that we're doing. So I look at it as more of like a facelift. We got a little Botox here or there. We're looking a little bit right. Bigger and better, but we're still, what I like about what we do here in Chicago is that we're very patient focused. We're very community focused. We're never going to get too big for, to understand the importance of what we do is how we care for the people in our community. And that's our primary focus.
Absolutely. One of the key things that I tell people, and I've been doing this show, it almost shocked me 13 years this past May. Whoa. Wow. Is that there's nothing more instrumental than having the right collaboration.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's why I think it was a great fit, because Great Lakes was, all over, not all over, but you were really in a good stream in North America.
Yeah.
To make it a nationwide opportunity for people. And I like the fact that having met and been to the facility, which is super gorgeous. I go to the one at Andersonville on Ashland. Every person has the same level of empathy. There's a standard that we need when we're talking about this sensitive subject. Because now, as we're learning and we talked in our green room, it can get you at any age. I've had people as young as 37 from some ministries and churches call me and just looking for resources, and you mentioned, someone in their 50s or better. So I'm just curious, how do we as a family, and we're going to get to some of the other the projects that we're coming up on. We're going to get that in the September show. But right now, while we're here, what do you tell a loved one? Because we have come out of the pandemic, and there have been so many persons, as I mentioned, who've come to me and said, I think my loved one is having issues with memory loss, or, so what your expertise, how would you advise the family? Where our steps go from here?
It's a really good question, and it's not an easy question. It's hard to talk about memory loss, but I think that's the first thing you have to do is to really talk to the individual and realize that if somebody is starting to have some lapses in their memory that might be a little bit more than normal, realize that it can be more than just getting older. As we get older, our memory is going to decline a little bit. Unfortunately, it's one of the facts of life, is our memory is not going to be as strong as when we were younger. But there are individuals whose memory loss gets worse. Like it's more than just normal. And it's really a disease, and we have to look at it as disease. It shouldn't be shameful. It should be something of, hey, I need to go to a doctor and get this taken care of. That's what we have. And I think we've done a pretty good job over the last 10, 15 years, really trying to get people to understand that this is a disease. You should get it treated. You should get it taken care of. So what we first recommend do is talk to the individual, make sure they understand what's going on, and then get to a center. I'd love you to come to Flourish, but there are doctors' offices throughout the Chicagoland area that you can get a memory test, and you can actually get, see if you are a little bit worse than you should be for your age. And if
Sure.
you are, then there's options for you. There's some treatments that are out there right now. I'm a fan of getting involved in clinical trials because you get access to really good medications for free. You're getting all your tests, all your doctor care for free, transportation, all that stuff. And you get really, really good doctor care when you're in a clinical trial. And sometimes, not that you don't get good care at your regular doctor's office, but sometimes your regular doctor doesn't have a lot of time for you. Sometimes you get rushed in or rushed out. We don't do that at all. We want to you were talking initially about collaboration. Our collaboration with our patients and their families is really important to us. We want to make sure that we take time, answer all your questions, make sure you feel like it's the right decision to join a clinical trial and that sort of stuff. So, I think just to summarize, just make sure the person's aware of what's going on with their disease, and then really going to the doctor and getting a baseline check to see where your memory's at.
Absolutely. And I do know we've been on TV and we've been in the community for many years talking about clinical trials. And if I could tell everyone listening to the sound of my voice, clinical trials are not what they have been in the past. The care, the plan of action, and the education before you even enter the trial is magnificent. That's why you have to call this organization, Flourish Research, and their number is 773-275-3500.
Right.
Let me say, it's critical. I know some people who are listening and you have reached out and said, just where can we go? I would suggest, I am asking if you're listening and tuning in, this is your trusted source. There is no obligation to have a phone call or a visit. We welcome you, multiple locations to serve you. And you can just speak to someone just on questions because you, as we mentioned, in our green room, we know we working with caregivers, and a lot of caregivers, this may be one of the biggest dynamics is dementia, and getting the right training, through that process and having that comfort level with your loved one and knowing what to do. So Steve, how do we, let's throw it out here. For instance, it's my auntie, we've been around each other forever, but I just saw a little bit of decline in some things. Like I have a family member who has said something to me, came back an hour later and repeated the same thing.
Yeah. So that's not unusual. That happens a lot. And, there's two kind of aunties out there. The one auntie that's going to be, I am having problems with my memory. Let's go do something about it. And then there's the other auntie who's going to say, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'm going to get by. So we understand that there's differences that are out there. What we've seen for that more defiant auntie who doesn't necessarily want to get her memory checked or whatever, what we've seen is saying, hey, you know what? Let's go together to this center, and they're doing free memory testing. I want to get my memory test. Would you like to come with me and get your memory test with me, and we can kind of check it out? Because it actually shows, and honestly, it is great for anybody to always get their memory checked. Because I think having a baseline and knowing where your memory is, and that way you can tell if it's declining or not. I think that's an easy way to get people in. And one of the things, Clara, we talked about this earlier too, is we're doing a lot of work in like Alzheimer prevention, for example. And that what that means, and gets a little technical. This is where I put my scientist hat on here. People who have Alzheimer's disease, there are actually changes that are going on in the brain. We know that those start 10, 20, maybe even 30 years before memory loss starts. So you can have change. Like right now, my memory seems fine, but I could be having changes going on in my brain. And 10 years from now, I can actually start to have memory loss. So if we can talk to those individuals and find out if their brains are having those changes and possibly prevent those changes from continuing, we can prevent Alzheimer's disease. And that's the type of stuff we're doing right now. And it's as simple as a blood test. We're bringing in healthy individuals. You come in, you get a blood test, and we tell you if you actually are maybe at risk for developing Alzheimer's disease. We pay for your transportation, so there's no cost. We pay for the doctor's visit, the lab test. You actually get paid a stipend. You get paid money to come in and do this sort of stuff. So there's a lot of advantage. We try to make it as easy as possible, and we think it's so important for you to get in a hold of your health care and making the right decisions by doing these diagnostic tests.
Absolutely. And one of the things we said previously in our show, there was a promotion we did with Great Lakes, was saying, don't do it for yourself, do it for your loved ones.
Yeah.
Do it for your grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the key factor. Just participating is a branch that maybe your family would not consider. But something, now let me ask you this, Steve. Some people say, well, it's just hereditary. That doesn't have to be true. Or doesn't
have to be true. Doesn't have to be true at all. There's a link. There's a hereditary link that you have a greater chance of developing Alzheimer's if it was in your family, but it's absolutely not guaranteed. There's individuals who have had Alzheimer's disease and their mom and dad had no signs of any memory loss and they live long, happy lives. On the other side, there's people who have two parents that have Alzheimer's disease and they're living a normal, happy, healthy life without any memory problems. So there's always exceptions, but the general rule is that there's a little bit of a hereditary link there for it. But I want to go back to your comment about doing it for others, and I think that is so important, especially in the area of Alzheimer's disease and memory loss. It's an interesting disease. It only affects the elderly, and so if we don't have the older Americans, older adults participating in research now, we just kick the can down the road and the next generation has to get older and then they have to join clinical trials. So it's really, really imperative that if we as older adults actually can participate in this research now, hopefully we'll get a new treatment approved that will help prevent our kids from actually developing this disease. That's the plan.
Right. That's the plan. But you know what? I'm encouraged, even from our years beginning, we've been partners for even 7 to 10 years at a maximum or minimum to maximum, but there's even medications that has sometimes reduced the progress. Am I correct?
Absolutely. We've made some headway. So from the first time we actually got together, Clara, we had nothing on the table. We had a couple of medications that didn't really do a lot to actually cure the disease. Now we come back to this 10 years later, and we have actually medications out there that can slow down the progression of the disease. Now, are they perfect medications? I wouldn't say they're perfect medications. The two that are available, they're only available by an infusion. So it's not a pill, it's not an injection. You have to go in and get an infusion. That's not easy, and that takes a lot of time out of your day. It's inconvenient. So we're still looking for advancements to make if we can do it as an injection, if we can do it an oral pill, that would be great. We're always looking to find medications that have less side effects and that sort of stuff. So I really, really am happy about the progress we made, but we ain't done yet. We have to go a lot further and make sure those medications are even better.
Absolutely. So this is a sensitive subject. Are we seeing do we need more participants from men, women, Black, white? Is it a racial thing? I mean, is it not racial, but is it a demographic of people that we're really looking to get more research to or more information to?
Yeah, you're right. So in general, we definitely see a little bit more women participating in research than we do for men. If you asked me that question 30 years ago, it was kind of the other way around, but we've actually seen a lot of women getting behind joining trials. So, but it's pretty well balanced in general. But when it comes down to racial makeup on our trials, we absolutely need more participation from underrepresented minorities, whether it's a Black population, whether it's a Latino population or the Asian American population. We need to actually get more participation because if we don't have a broad representation, we don't know that the medications are working in all the specific races. Like I don't think it's fair to say that this medication works in a white man, Clara, so you need to take it now. We should have Black women joining clinical trials, and if it works for them, then we can say in a more confident way that it works for you. So that's why we need more participation from our underrepresented minorities, and it's really important. Now, there is a study that we're coming up. It's actually not I didn't even talk to you about this, Claire. It's not even a medication study. We call it a diagnostic study where people come in and we just do a lot of tests, whether it's memory tests that we're talking to people, whether they're computer based or there's a blood test. So we're just trying to assess people's standing and what their status is for their memory based on what we call biomarkers. I know I'm getting technical here, but basically we want to do this with the Black population here in Chicago and the Latino population in Chicago, because we want to show that there could be differences. And if there are differences in how we actually show the disease and that sort of stuff, then we can actually do a better job getting medications that are more directed for the population. So I'm the days of doing research all in a Caucasian population just does not work anymore. There's FDA guidances that we need to actually have a more represented population in our studies. So we're big advocates. And Clara, I have to tell you, you have helped us out so much in getting the word out there to the communities. And you know, as Great Lakes grew, we actually have been known as one of the premier clinics around the country in bringing in populations and being a diverse population. And you were very helpful in that. So thank you.
Oh, I tell you, we're going to go together. We're going to grow old together and do it well. I thank you for that honor, because one of the things that I pride myself on is having the right partners in place. So even in my absence, and we want to give a shout out to Bobby, I have a Senior Talk, what I call a speakers bureau. So he went to 2 events, represented Flourish and Senior Talk, and did an exceptional job. I followed back with him and said, how did it go? He said, hey, great engagement. And I loved it. And thank you for the opportunity. So I'm excited about that. So, you know, we've been talking, and I just want to tell all the listeners, if you have a church ministry, wherever you gather, it is definitely time to consider, as the seasons are changing now, you may want to get a memory test or just call Flourish Research. They have multiple things going on. I tell you, something for everybody. But before we got a couple of more minutes for our closing remark, let me just tell everyone this. The address to Flourish Research is 5149 North Ashland Avenue in Chicago, 60640. And you can call 773-275-3500. That is the Andersonville location at 5149 North Ashland Avenue in Chicago. And you can find them on all social media platforms. Oh my goodness, they are busy. They are busy. So what is your closing remark? We're going to come back in September, because we got a lot of more ground to cover, because we want our listeners and viewing audience to definitely give us a call now. If you heard something that is of interest, give them a call. Say you heard on Senior Talk. But we want to get to, right now, we're going to be focusing on the Bronzeville community. That's what I was told for September.
Yep.
So aldermen, state reps, whoever you are, block club, red hat, pink hat, whatever you do, veterans homes, you call us, veterans, senior builders, we'll come to your block party. I've seen Florida's they have been everywhere.
Yeah. They
will come anywhere, but we want to make sure this information that we're giving today is to enhance your quality of life. Exactly. So what is your closing remarks, Steve? It's always good to talk to you. It's like I'm talking to my brother, my big brother. You know, what's going on? We can do this all day, but thank you so much, Steve, and for Flourish Research for coming back on board with Senior Talk. We had to rebuild and rebrand to go bigger and larger and stronger and more efficient and proficient when we're in the community to serve you. So now is the time. So what is your closing remark for us today?
You know, I'm just going to make a remark on what you said about collaboration and just kind of bring it in a big picture here. You know, we collaborate really well together. You probably have run across people and people want to partner with you and you just don't feel it in your gut. And Clara, if you feel, I don't know about you, but I feel it in my gut. We have always got along well. We both have the same vision in mind of helping the community and that sort of stuff. So I think we are good partners in that. And that's how we actually treat everybody that we work with. So you're talking about congregations out there. If there are churches or ministries that actually are looking for somebody to come in and talk about clinical trials or talk about memory loss, we're able to do that. We do it free. We don't actually charge for anything. We'll bring in donuts and stuff like that. So, you know, we try to get the word out there, and we do it through the collaborations, whether it's us directly or whether we have a partner that we introduce you to you introduce a partner to us. And that's how this grassroots thing works. And that's how we become better at what we do. So I'm just going to end on this like spirit of collaboration. And I look forward to our future talks, because we could be on this show right now for the next couple hours, just chatting away. We know that.
Right. But and I appreciate you. And one of the things that I'm excited about, and I'm going to announce this coming up during the fall, we're going to be doing something called Midday Music Memories. And I got this thought having been at the facility on Ashland and went through some of the modules that you have. And we talk about memory joggers. So we know when people hear music, it brings them to a beautiful place in their spirit and energy. So we're going to be doing that at some of our upcoming events. You'll also be joining us in the community for our Live and Learn series. Oh my goodness, that's a pop-up health fair. And we were in Bronzeville, we were in Chicago Heights, we were in multiple places. So multiple invitations are coming up. But that midday music memory, that memory jogger, when I thought about it, and I have Al Greer is going to play some old school music and they're going to guest, but Flourish is going to be working with him and just bringing that together and seeing who could be a winner, but also use that memory jogger as a point of interest. You know what I mean?
We're going to have to do some stepping too.
You got it right. Hey, we will have the room. We will have the room. Not a challenge at all. So everyone, I just want to thank you, Steve, for being with us today. Everyone, Steve Satek is the executive vice president of Flourish Research. As I told friends, we're in good hands. Great Lakes Clinical Trial is still there. But we're not new to the name Flourish Research. Don't be afraid. We're still providing a great service, and we've even maxed it up a little bit to serve you. Again, their address is 5149 North Ashland in Chicago, and the number is 773-275-3500. Thank you for making us a part of your day. And if you need more information, you can definitely do me a favor. Visit my website, clarahubbard.org, become a member, click on the message button, and we'd love to hear from you. If you're looking for quality education on dementia, Alzheimer's, because Alzheimer's is under the umbrella of dementia. That's another show, Steve. You know what I mean? Right. But we go work on that. But thank you all for making us a part of your day. I'm Clara Hubbard, your host and granddaughter in the community, and we will see you next time for Senior Talk with Clara Hubbard.